Hey, welcome to the Chief Investment Office at WUTIS. Together here we have our Chief Investment Officer, Michael Damp.
And I'm sitting here with Deputy Head of Chief Investment Office, Sarah from Czech Koruna.
So we discussed a lot of things last time, Trump, Mexico, whatever, but one very interesting thing happened yesterday. The Czech Koruna, its relation to the euro. Michael, could you talk a little bit about that and what the conclusion was about this this thing?
Sure. So yeah, people usually tend to focus on the Fed or whatever, or the ECB, but the really interesting thing actually happened at the Czech Central Bank yesterday. Because usually they were expected to lift the peg, which they had before, because usually they didn't allow the Czech Koruna to go up over a certain level. But now inflation is slowly picking up in the Czech Republic, and that's why people actually expected them to depeg it. Actually, the funny thing is it didn't happen, and so that's why basically afterwards the euro shot up because people actually expected the Czech Koruna to go up, so it went the other way around. And so now what we could do there is to short the hell out of the euro, because we really think it might make all the sense in the world, because at some point they're going to depeg it, and then we can really capitalize on that movement.
Yeah. And they promised they're going to depeg it at some point anyway, in May, April, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we think we can really capitalize on that with shorting right now when people don't really expect it that much. And I think that, or actually the whole Chief Investment Office supports the view that we could really capitalize on that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But let's get back to Trump for a second there. A couple of days ago we had a very important thing happening. The healthcare bill proposed by Trump they were not able to pass it, to get it through the Congress. The problem was that they did not get the support of all the Republicans they needed. They needed to get to 116 votes, simple majority, and they failed to do so because the Freedom Caucus apparently thought it's not conservative enough. Now, why is the healthcare bill so important, actually? Well, Trump cannot convince the Republican deficit hawks, which hate deficit, to have more infrastructure spending, $1 trillion infrastructure spending he proposed, $54 billion into defense, the tax relief, the new tax reform, unless he promises to cut back on healthcare, which occupies already a big part of the expenditure. I think 3/4 of the expenditure of the United States government is Social Security, so benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, healthcare, and net interest, which is why it's a substantial point here. So what we would expect is that he might be able to pass it through, but for now it's purely political, actually. So now it all depends on Trump's ability and Paul Ryan's ability to whip the votes and to find a compromise with all the Republicans within the party. When it comes to the other problems that he proposed, the tax reform, the infrastructure, it's something that actually is but both parties actually would like to imagine happening, because even in 2015 they had a bill which was about renewing the infrastructure. You know, it was passed. It was kind of supported by both Democrats and Republicans. So I believe that there will be much more traction when it comes to tax reform and infrastructure spending, and we still might go. Actually, our idea was to go long U.S. industrials anyway, because the infrastructure has much bigger chance of going through than the healthcare. Now, will they have the infrastructure after healthcare? Nobody knows, but it's just more likely, I suppose, right? Yeah.
Right. So one topic that usually always comes up when you mention Trump is China, and we also had a China talk yesterday. But the funny thing is we didn't really focus on Trump, but on China itself, because there were some serious corrections last year and also a few years ago. So the question is, can you actually invest into China right now? And we had an expert in that talking about that, and in the end we found we'd analyzed demographic developments there. And we found it would make sense to try to capitalize on the growing middle class. So we think it might make sense to invest into smartphones, into the entertainment industry, also in the automotive industry, because that's exactly what the emerging middle class is going to buy, and we want to be among the first to capitalize on that.
That's exactly what Oliver talked about, also about the fact that the Chinese are pushing really much to have more electric cars, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense to also invest maybe in the car industry, renewable car industry.
Exactly. So the car manufacturers always go try to be more clean and efficient, and that would make sense, especially in China with their politics in cars. It's usually pretty difficult, but if you really try to be renewable and sustainable, it will make really a lot of sense to invest there.
I see.
And to capitalize on that.
Right. Going back a little bit back to Trump. You kind of end up in Mexico, and that's the interesting point now. You could see that the peso actually starts recovering, almost recovered its position before Trump won. And it seems that it's projected that Mexico is going to become the top 5 strongest economies by Goldman Sachs by 2050. And it seems that actually the market seems to be relatively undervalued, and it might give you kind of a good kind of set of opportunities in the future, you know. So I don't think we have a strong recommendation for anything in Mexico now, but I think we might actually take a look at it at some point and observe it. I think it would be still quite interesting to see to observe the Mexican equities in the future anyway, and also the effects. Yeah.
Right, that was it for the Chief Investment Office this time. We would be really interested also in your views, so just write it down in the comments and tell us what you think, and also tell us if you've got any really great investment opportunities. So thanks for watching, and see you guys.
See you next time.